Hello there guys, what is going on? Son of Chelsea back here again for another video. Hope you're all having a wonderful day, and as you can see by the title, I'm going to be doing something interesting today, giving my top 3 performers for Chelsea so far this season. As we enter the final days of this year, I always like to look at the end of December as sort of the halfway point of the season, look back at the first period of it, see how things have gone, the good and the bad, which we will be doing on the channel in the coming weeks. But starting off with some positive, for me, the best player so far for Chelsea this season. It was interesting. I put a tweet out hearing your responses to it, which I'll share with you in comparison to my list. There are a lot of names that pop up quite regularly, obviously, that people I think are in agreement with, which is good. Some variations on that. So going into my list, I want to just give 2 honourable mentions because I think, there's a variety of reasons why people make their list, personal preference, subjectivity, what style of player do you like, do you like defenders more than attackers sometimes, some people have that. But I think these 2 players just didn't make my list. Sometimes for consistency, playing time, how much they featured in the regular starting 11. Some of them took longer to get into the starting 11. Firstly, I want to talk about Kovacic because whether you put him, 4th or 5th in this list, I think is up to you. But I think he has been so impressive so far this season. He's one of the youngsters that has broken through. And considering where he was in the summer, when I think many people thought he would go out on loan, of course, that spiral of events that forced David Luiz out the door, it gave him that opportunity, but he still took the opportunity. And in a defence that has leaked a lot of goals this season and has looked suspect and still very much a big problem area for Chelsea, I think he has shined. I think back to the Ajax game, which probably was the standout defensive performance for the season, but especially him. He's a young player, like many of our other young academy graduates in the team so far. They've still got a long way to go to develop, but I think he looked really impressive at points, and I think has shown the capability that he can be a top-class defender for Chelsea going forward. So honourable mention for him. Also a mention for another player, an attacker this time in Christian Pulisic, who I think has been one of the most exciting players in attack for Chelsea this season. Like Tomori had a challenging start, didn't he? Some of that I think is mostly maybe media or fan created. I think Lampard, one of the best things he's done so far is the coaching of Christian Pulisic, allowing him to bed himself into Chelsea, the culture within it, coming to a new league. And then when he was able to get into the team again in like late October, I think it was, he absolutely flourished, didn't he? He had that incredible week where he came off the bench against Newcastle, made an impact, creating a winner for that game, created the winner against Ajax, and then scored that amazing hat-trick. He's had a few dips since then, but I think mostly his goal scoring prowess and anticipation for me has really impressed me, and like Tomori has got a long way to go, and I think is one of the players that excites so many fans. So those 2 players just miss out. But going into my top 3, 3rd place, Jorginho. I think the narrative around Jorginho, I think, is one of the best and most uplifting of this season. I think of where Jorginho was in May, where even though he performed really well in Baku in a brilliant win in the Europa League, I think there would have been many fans who still were unsure, critical of Jorginho, especially when Sarri left. I think there were many expected that he would leave as well, but Jorginho stayed and wanted to prove people wrong. And I've written things about this. Jorginho is probably one of my favourite players within the squad. I think, considering the criticism and abuse at times he got last year, I think he's really stepped up his game, and I think it's great to see people changing their minds on him. And it's great also to see Lampard picking up where Sarri left off in context of how he plays this midfield at times. I still think we look our strongest when we do play a midfield 3 with Jorginho, Kante and Kovacic. Of course, that's another thing, Kante playing in a more advanced role like he did under Sarri, but not a lot has been talked about that. But I also think a thing that's come to the fore, we know his passing ability, we know his creativity, we know what he can give as a director, the regista of a play. But I think his leadership qualities for me have really shone through. He's been given the vice captaincy, which I think is fully deserved. We've seen him wear that armband a few times this year, and I think it's going to be something we're going to continue to see going forward. I also like the way he's been able to press further up the pitch. He's not so restricted of being that defensive midfielder. You will see him press from time to time further up the pitch, which I think has helped Chelsea's pressing game when we are more aggressive and on the front foot. And look at that Watford assist for me, in my opinion, pass of the season so far. So absolutely brilliant. The fans' change on him has been wonderful. The singing of his name has been a delight to see. And I think it's going to continue, and I think he's going to be a big player going forward. 4 goals, 2 assists. I think that's only going to increase as the season goes on. So Jorginho is my number 3. Number 2 is another midfielder who has flourished under Frank Lampard, and that is Mateo Kovacic. Like Jorginho, there is that connection between the two, and I think they fit in quite well. You cannot have Kovacic not on this list. For me, he has to be one of the 3 players, simply for his new confidence, his freedom, his effectiveness within the team. I think Jorginho, the reason he's lower on this list is because I think, like a lot of us, believe that Jorginho was doing a lot of these things last year, and for a variety of reasons, people maybe didn't want to see it or didn't see it themselves, or whether it was because of the conflict with Sarri. I think Jorginho has finally, I think, won the recognition. I think people see what impact he has on the team. Kovacic, I think, is a different story. Kovacic was at times limited. He was a bit of a sideways pass merchant at times. He wasn't that effective in the team, and Sarri wasn't able to get the best out of him in quite a restricted system at times. Lampard has been able to get that out of Kovacic. He's much freer. He has that chemistry of Jorginho. He looks deadly when he's driving forward. And finally, he scored those goals, 2 goals, like buses. They have come back to back, very close together. 2 brilliant strikes as well. So now that's the confidence that he can score a goal. He's going to be a threat in that area too, which I think just adds more to his game. We knew he was technically competent. We knew what he could do with the ball at his feet. His dribbling ability, his tackling ability, I think, is an underrated part of his game. But I think the effectiveness and the part of the game of changing the game at Chelsea, I think a bit like Jorginho, when Kovacic isn't in the side, you see the effects he has of not being there. We do miss him. And even in games recently where we've lost against Everton, he's been sensational. And I think another player that is so essential to Chelsea's midfield, and he's earning his place. I think there were some of us who probably thought, I think even my belief was that he was mostly going to be a squad player this year with the competition in that area. But he has made himself a starter so far this season, and he fully deserves to be on this list. And I think at the end of the season, he's going to be up there for player of the season, in my opinion. So Kovacic is number 2. And number 1, for me, it has to be Chelsea's number 9, Tammy Abraham. A wonderful start to the season. In my preseason predictions, I said Tammy Abraham was going to be Chelsea's top scorer. But by 15 goals, he is only now 2 away from those goals as I record this video. So that seems like a low total. I think, like other players that I've mentioned, he had a difficult start to the year. He was picked at Old Trafford, wasn't he? He hit the post. How different that game could have been if that went in. And then, of course, he was subjected to that vile racist abuse on social media after Liverpool and missing that penalty. Now, in a video I made, I think a month ago, I spoke about why Lampard wasn't forced to play young players, and I think Tammy Abraham, such a prime example of why this is the case. Three-way shootout in pre-season between him, Olivier Giroud and Michy Batshuayi. He earned that spot. Frank was so wonderful in terms of giving the confidence back to Tammy, to get behind him, to say, no, you are my striker. I'm going to give you the opportunity to make your place and to earn your place within my starting 11. And that's what he did. The belief in trust, and I think the quality, the clinical nature of Tammy Abraham, I think, has been wonderful so far this season. We've seen the amount of times he scored vital goals for Chelsea. First goals in game, the opening goal is so crucial for a Chelsea striker and for any striker. And when he hasn't been in the team, a bit like Kovacic and Jorginho, you see the impact. You see the lack of connectivity we have in our play, the lack of hold-up play to be able to keep attacks going. And I think that's one of the other key things. His all-round game improving for me. Hold-up play, link-up play, running the channel at times, moving in and out of positions. His movement to be on side for goals, there's been a number of goals, I think, of Crystal Palace, I think of Aston Villa, where he's been right on the line. You know, think of VAR this year, the small inches you have to be to just be called offside. He's made wonderfully timed runs to get in behind defences and break the deadlock in games that have led to Chelsea winning games. So I think that Tammy Abraham for me has to be top of this list. I think all 3 of these players you could put top of your list. I won't make too much arguments about that, but I think that Tammy, because of the pressure on a Chelsea striker, because of the lack of a consistent goal scoring striker we've had since Diego Costa left, because of the weight of that number 9 shirt, and because of the difficult and challenging start he had, the character of Tammy Abraham, I think, has really shone through. Another player, like younger players who I think will continue to grow, will have difficult days, but I think has shown a capability that he isn't just a championship striker, and how ridiculous of a statement that now is proving to be from critics in the summer. And I think he obviously will be Chelsea's top goal scorer of the season come the end of May. I think he's going to continue to score more important goals for Chelsea and lead the line well for Frank Lampard's Blues. So that is my list, my top 3 players players for Chelsea this year. I just want to give you some of the responses I got on Twitter in comparison to my list. I got Tammy, Kovacic and Pulisic, so Pulisic making into their list. Tammy, Kovacic and Jorginho agreeing with me there. Tomori, Tammy and Kovacic, Kova, Tammy and Pulisic. So sort of very close to what I mentioned. It's not that much of a surprise, and I am interested to hear, were there any names that I left out that you would have put in your top 3 that haven't been mentioned in the video? Please let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. If you did enjoy it, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell to never miss an upload. Follow me on Twitter at Son of Chelsea, and I'll see you again.